it's some nice stories to tell the grandchildren. I've served in Northern Ireland for 2.5 years, out in Iraq. I've got my French wings, my American wings. I've jumped with the 82nd Airborne, the French Foreign Legion. Humanity sometimes embarrasses me because of the way we are with each other. You go where you go. Everywhere's the same. You're still going to get shot at. You're still going to be a target. For 50,000 years, all we've done is fucking fight each other. Callsign Caesar. My name is Drew. I'm from the United Kingdom. I'm ex-parachute regiment. I've got my French wings, my American wings. I've jumped with the 82nd Airborne, the French Foreign Legion. In total, I've probably over 250 jumps. I've jumped with the Red Devils, the free fall team. I've served in Northern Ireland for 2.5 years, out in Iraq. Then I left the parachute regiment and decided to go to Africa for 3 years, and I served as operationally with the French as a member of Op Barkhane. When I finished that, obviously the war over here had started, and that I just knew that was my calling to be here. I'm now a part of the mortar platoon of the 2nd Battalion International Legion. So operationally over here, we've been covering Charlie Company on the Eastern Front, which it's been pretty hard going at times, mainly due to the fact of us having to use civilian vehicles, which is a bit of a gripe with me, having to use civilian vehicles. Likewise for the state of the ammunition also, having to use ex-Soviet stock 1970s. If NATO can sort out a way of fast-tracking ammunition so we get the ammunition quicker on the ground, it would save many lives. Because of the shortfall of ammunition that we're coming up against, we would like to lay fire down when we want. I know we have to support other companies or other battalions, but for every 100 rounds that the Russians throw towards us, we can possibly throw 10 back. But we have to make sure that every round counts. Every round is a good hit. In the days of when I was in the parachute regiment, you'd get a fire mission, and you'd have 4 mortar tubes all firing at the same time and expending maybe 40-50 rounds per barrel on one shoot. And at the moment we're doing less than 10 rounds per shoot, which it's a crying shame, because you've got guys that we're covering and we can't just give the correct cover that they need, and it's heartbreaking. The deployment side of things is more or less the same. The objective is the same. We all want that common goal, but the Ukrainians have really pulled a rabbit out of the hat. I've got all admiration for them, for what they're up against and what we have ourselves to use, and the way we're working things. We're having to mess around with ammunition so we can actually use the ammunition that's sent to us. We've had stock come in from India, which we had to bastardize because it just would not fire from the 120 that we use. We have to pull out all the stops to get what we want, and we're managing. The longer the fight, the sweeter the win. We know what we're up against, and so does the West. But I think the Western nations like to put the blinkers on. You can't have a country now, in this day and age, taking over another country, another sovereign country. It just doesn't happen. It's not meant to happen, you know. We should really learn from history, but we're humans and we've all got our faults. But at this day and age, this shouldn't be the case. 2.5 years in Northern Ireland, 2 years was a residential tour, so covering West Belfast. So inner city, fighting, chasing ghosts. Our hands were tied yet again because of a yellow card rule that we have in the UK. We're not allowed to return fire unless fired upon. We lost some good guys out there, some really close friends. I spent another term out there on the border, and we lost some more guys on border patrols. I think it's been one of the longest wars out there. I think it lasted from 1969 right through to 95, I believe. So it has been an arduous time for the British regiments that have served over there. I've been a part of Adaptability in the Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. I've spent time in Mali, hunting down Boko Haram, but totally different environment, totally different kettle of fish. You move from one deployment to a next, but it's something that a soldier just gets used to. You adapt and overcome. You're in a different environment, different threat, using different tactics, different weapons, but it's something that some people are just born to do it, and born to. Some people have got a heart as big as an ocean, and that's probably my problem. Is I care, and I care about humanity. But yeah, it's all been hard work, but it's some nice stories to tell the grandchildren. Any civilian in a civilian job who's qualified in a certain field, he will move jobs, he will move cities, he will move to a different country, but then still work in the same practice. You know, it's just like myself. I'm military. It's what I know, it's what I love, it's what I do. The environment, although different setting, different heat, different weather to cope with. But like I say, you adapt and overcome. You get used to it, and the tactics, more or less all the same, and you're there to achieve a certain goal. I always try and sort of get my head around a certain environment or certain area by looking into the country's history. I try to learn about the culture before actually heading out somewhere, so I've got an understanding of what I'm actually going into. But you don't really that doesn't really sort of play a part when you're on the battlefield. You've got a mission, you've got a task, and that is the ultimate goal. Is you need to complete that task. You need to you get called on a mission. You go through your intelligence briefings. You work out a battle plan, and then you go from there. I was preparing for Ukraine for about a year. I couldn't get out here for personal reasons. When it initially kicked off, when they advanced from the north, I studied a little bit about Ukraine's history, about how Ukraine was formed, Kiev Rus, and obviously through the Vikings side of things. So I've looked back in history just to get my head around how the country was formed and set up, and the nature of the people. And obviously I've known about Ukraine for many years because of the football. A big football fan, so Ukrainian teams have always been there or thereabouts in Europe. So yeah, the football culture will always be the same. You will always get a contingent of hooligans. Always, it comes hand in hand for some reason. It's just male testosterone bravado. That's the way football is. The youth culture of today, not really getting into the military or understanding or wanting to fight for their country, is really bizarre in my eyes. I've always been proud of my country. If anything was to happen, if I didn't have a weapon, I'd pick up a pitchfork, if that be the case. But that's my heart and my true feeling for my own country, my own flag. I see it in today's youth, the generation that you have now, keyboard warriors, sofa armchair warriors, whatever you want to call them. They're more into their computer games and things like that, but they'd be the perfect guys now in this scenario with the drones that we use. They're not quite on the front line, but they've got a huge skill set in hand-eye coordination, which would be a good thing to use at the precise moment in time. But I don't think the younger generation really feel that deeply about their own countries for some reason. I don't know where it's gone wrong. I can't see, and I don't understand why they don't have the passion to stand up and fight. I've no idea. I've heard about Ukrainians skipping the border, paying off doctors to get sick notes so they don't have to fight. You'll get that anywhere, in any country. It doesn't matter which country. You will always get a percentage who will not fight or don't want to fight. But to me, that's not the case. They don't have to be frontline troops. They can be somewhere near the rear, in headquarters. There's always a job for everyone, which doesn't necessarily mean putting their lives in total danger right at the front. Because when does it stop? We seen what happened in 1939 with the Nazis. We seen what happened then. We seen how slow the rest of the world and the rest of Europe were slow to react. By the time anybody took notice and reacted, Hitler had already took most of Europe. And do we have to wait for that to happen now? Do we have to wait for that to happen again? So what, first Ukraine, then what, the Moldova, then Romania, then and when does it stop? When does it stop? Somebody has to stand up to the plate and be counted, you know. So it doesn't matter what country you're from. You've got to have a sense of values and principles. You know, when sovereign nations are sovereign nations, that is it. They have a right to protect themselves. And if it means people are going to volunteer from all different parts of the world to protect that whole principle, then fine. Normally, in the mortar platoon, you'd have a forward observer who would be with the rifle company, normally with a laser rangefinder, and he would give you an initial target. Okay, that would be worked out using map, compass, old school, and he would then watch the first strikes coming in, and then he will relay back to the officer, okay, you need to adjust fire. The drone team, obviously they know that what their job is and what their task is, and I don't know fully how the drone teams operate, whether we have our own drone specifically for our platoon, which I think seems to be the case, even though there's many drones up in the sky, but they work in conjunction with our hierarchy, and it seems to work really, really well. If we could just merge the new technology with old school map reading and laying down fire using maps and the computerized technology that we use now, I think that could work a lot better, because there's been times when the drones aren't capable to get in the sky, you know what I mean, to get airborne. And there's been times when you've been sat there twiddling your thumbs thinking we can shoot here, but yet we don't have drone capability for some reason, you know, whether it be weather, starts raining, but yet we can still lay down fire as a mortar platoon in certain weather conditions, but we're reliant on that eye in the sky. It's like any new technology, you're always going to need an operator, but yet you've still got to do old school methods, old school tactics. It doesn't matter how many different forms of technology are implemented, you've still got feet on the ground. You've still got guys who are operating semi-automatic weapons that have to do their drills. The guys in the platoon, the younger guys, obviously a different generation. They're like half my age. They're well adept at taking on board the new technology. They're not really interested in old school methods because it's all glitzy and it's easy. Pressing a few buttons and a computer works everything out for you, angles, trajectories and all the rest of it. There's no method there of having to sit down and scribble things out and working out a formula yourself. You know, there's a formula in the mortar platoon that's been adopted for many years, and it's tried and tested. It's a certain formula, and you get the correct hits by using it. But obviously technology's taken over, and you could be dropping rounds on your own guys. So it's very sort of, you've got to be very careful, because we're all tired out, you know what I mean, on the front. You've got to have a certain type of mentality to get through it, you know, to be able to sort of work through it. I was 57 on the 13th of August. The age for me doesn't really come into it. Even though I smoke, I've always been quite fit, and I like to take pride in my fitness. When I first turned up here, there was a big joke about my age and being a granddad, you know, but that didn't bother me. When I was here doing the training with the 4th Battalion, I was made up to platoon commander straight away because of my previous experience, and every day it was, look at Caesar, this guy is twice your age. Why is this guy running rings around you? And it's just gives me a little bit of motivation, a little bit of self-pride that I can still run rings around 20-year-olds. I've seen guys like that even in my platoon coming through the 4th Battalion, where they couldn't hack the training, the physical side of things, and they've decided to up sticks. Okay, I'll break contract and I'll find my own way. And I know two of those guys died within 3 months of leaving, of breaking contract. They went their own way, decided that the training wasn't for them. The training here can save your life. It can lessen the chances of you going home in a body bag if the guys would just switch on and take things in. It's quite difficult when you have a lot of civilians turning up, no military experience, and then for 4 weeks expecting super soldiers. It's really difficult to squeeze that into a 4-week period. It's not long enough. I do think that the battle tactics should be drawn upon a lot more than just the constant fitness side of things. A guy turning up here should be well enough prepared mentally and physically to piss this course. Physically, it's the military skills that they need more so than the fitness. You don't come to a place like this and think you're going to get away with just walking around and mincing around. You need to be physically and mentally fit, you know, and they should be that when they first arrive, and they should know that, you know, and that would stand them in good stead then to drive straight into the military aspect of things, you know, on the ranges every day on the ranges every day, CQB, battle tactics, formations, you know, that should be promoted a lot more than what it is from what I've seen, for sending guys to the front with little experience of live firing, and tactics. It's quite sort of it's quite an eye opener, you know. You're pushing civilians who've never handled a weapon before. Okay, you can shout and scream at them all day long, but you're not going to get results by shouting and screaming at people. To me, fear doesn't really sort of come into it. I don't have time to think about fear. I've got a job to do, a task to do. I know what my mission is. That's all it is to me. I have drones flying above my head. I have artillery incoming, tanks firing at our positions. That doesn't really faze me. I'm there on my mortar. I've got a task to do. I've got to get rounds down to support our guys. Our guys need our support. If that means me just being there whilst everything's going on around me, I'm in my own little bubble, and that's it with me. The drone threat is the biggest thing for us. It's especially in the evening time when it gets dark. There's so many drones up in the air at one point, and it's constant, and it's to begin with, every drone, we were back in the bunker, back in the bunker. We can't lay down fire if we keep on doing this. It doesn't work. So it is what it is. I've got drone footage which was sent to me multiple times when we've had direct hits. I've had a message on signal, "Hail Caesar," because we right on the mark, and that was a single guy on the track, and to hit a single guy on a track with the first round is just unbelievable. A mortar, you need 2 rounds to bed in, and then you go from there to then work on your target. But first round, boom, taken out straight away. It doesn't matter to me. I will go anywhere. I'm adaptable to go anywhere. It doesn't matter for me. For some of the other guys, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to go. You shouldn't have an attitude like that. That's not the attitude to have. You go where you go. Everywhere's the same. Everywhere's the same. You're still going to get shot at. You're still going to be a target. You've got a job to do, and that is it. Simple. I'm ex-parachute regiment. I would have loved to have been with the 95th, you know, the Airborne regiment, and physically jump in behind enemy lines and go old school on everything. But that's the parachute regiment all over. Jump behind enemy lines and then work from there and wait for reinforcements, hopefully. but obviously not getting the chance. I would still love to do my Ukrainian jumps course, so, but that's that's out the window now. But the airborne regiments, there will always be a place in war for them. The way they're used is second to none. When you can jump behind enemy lines and wait for reinforcements to hold an area or to cut an enemy off, there'll always be a place for that. But it's finding the right time, the right moment on the battle to be able to do that. I used to hate history at school, but grown older, I love ancient history, whether it be Egyptian, Rome. It just intrigues me, especially the military side of things. How you had Roman legions marching in sandals from Italy all the way to the UK, you know, and I just tried to sort of put myself, how would I feel if I was one of those guys, you know, compared to how the military is today, using vehicles and all the rest of it, you know, and it's just bizarre, just admiration to them, you know. They're real soldiers, they are real soldiers. The Brits have always been very passionate about the fallen. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. A lot of them paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms, you know, and people have got to understand that. The younger generation have got to be taught that at school, never to forget how they're here. If it wasn't for their great-great-grandparents, they may not well be here. You know, that's the thing that people seem to miss. You know, I'm grateful for my great-grandfather, my grandfather. They both fought in the First War, Second War. You know, my father was a Royal Marine Commando. My brother was in the Navy and then in the Parachute Regiment with me. So we have had a little bit of history sort of in the military in our family. How would I like to be remembered? I don't know. Just a normal guy with a big heart and a love for life. You know, I'm passionate about what I get into. I'm passionate about the evils in this world and how humanity has seemed to have lost its way. You know, I don't want war. As human beings, sometimes I'm embarrassed to think of myself as a human being. You know, it's humanity sometimes embarrasses me because of the way we are with each other, the way people react with each other. I thought we were more sort of compos mentis than, you know, of how we are really towards each other. I thought we were more understanding, more forgiving, more, but it seems not to be the case, you know. But like I say, there's always people that have to stand up to the plate when they see evil and tyranny and things that shouldn't be happening. You know, they can see straight through it and see the wrongs in the world. I'm only one guy, you know. We'd all love to change the world for the better. I'm one guy. If I can play a small part to help change the course of history, then I've achieved my goal. My mission's accomplished, you know. I'm just one guy. But I'm still another trigger finger. We are supposed to be a highly intelligent species, okay? Really? We can't be that intelligent, huh? Surely not. For 50,000 years, all we've done is fucking fight each other.